Hello and welcome to The Big Pick, and welcome to a bad start with a film called Grown Ups, starring Adam Sandler, whose brand of humor is not my kind of thing at all. Directed by Dennis Dugan, the film is full of grossly sexual humor, over-the-top acting, and is not at all family friendly, though it peddles itself to be that. There's this character who openly breastfeeds her 4-year-old son, and that's supposed to be family friendly? I mean, gosh, give me a break. I would give anything to be able to forget this terrible film. 5 friends with their families meet after many years at the funeral service of their school basketball coach. Coach Buzzer is what he's called. Friend number 1, Adam Sandler, is a high-flying Hollywood agent with a high-maintenance wife, the curvy as ever Salma Hayek. They have 2 boys who are utterly spoilt, ill-mannered and technology nuts, and who have a Chinese nanny at their beck and call. So that's the Sandler clan. Friend number 2 is Rob Schneider, a vegan masseur with a funny hairdo, married to a hippie who could easily pass off as his mum. At particularly tender moments, the two don't do a nose rub, but instead do a public tongue thingy which makes you all nauseous. Friend number 3 is Chris Rock, a house husband whose wife, mother-in-law and bratty kids have twirled around their thumbs. Friend number 4 is David Spade, an alcoholic who is foul and loud-mouthed. Oh, he's unbearable. And finally, friend number 5, Kevin James and his brood, and whose wife still breastfeeds their 4-year-old son. Ugh, your skin crawls during those scenes. Anyway, this utterly silly plot basically is all about how all these people hang out together after their coach's funeral, during which they all behave in the most asinine manner. When they all get to their holiday lake resort, they insult each other good-naturedly. It's all supposed to be funny, but it ends up becoming lewd and puerile. Insufferable. They also try to get their spoilt and tech-addicted children to go out and do outdoorsy things. So there's some over-the-top acting that happens here, and the so-called adult men showing them how they can have good old-fashioned fun. But of course, it all gets terribly juvenile, and you want to cry out that these men and the director need to first do some serious growing up themselves. And the wives, oh, let's not even go there. I mean, these women or these characters are each a horror in their own right. Please don't bother watching this lowbrow fare with references to urination, crotch hits, a rare display and so on. Outrageous how these things get past the censors. The film gets no stars at all. If anything, brickbats. That's what it gets. Coming up, Badri Venkatesh's Bana Katadi, only on Pothi's The Big Pick. Welcome back to Pothi's The Big Pick, and now for a film that tries to be a bit of everything but which ends up leaving a "it's finally nothing" impression on you. Badri Venkatesh's Bana Katadi marks the debut of Atharva, son of actor Murli. Atharva and his love interest in the film, the charming and bubbly Samantha of VTV fame, are wonderfully energetic, fresh-faced and perky, but the script is so woefully predictable and boring that the poor young things just float about when they could have channelized their energies and talents more productively. Ramesh, played by Atharva, and Priya, played by Samantha, their paths literally collide. Ramesh and his gang of friends are chasing after a kite when Priya literally walks into Ramesh from the opposite direction. In that collision, Priya's pen drive containing her fashion designing project goes into Ramesh's possession, unbeknownst to him. So she chases him over a period of time in order to retrieve her pen drive. The cliche stuff happens. Ramesh denies taking the pen drive, they quarrel, she slaps him, he finally finds the object of contention, returns it to her, and a friendship develops between the two. Of course, Ramesh feels more than just friendly feelings. He decides to tell Priya what's in his heart. Does she feel the same way? Well, I'm not telling you. You can watch the film to find out that. In the meanwhile, there's this local don played by a very somber Prasanna with a stubble. He is much respected by Ramesh and his gang, and he acts like a sort of mentor to them. Now, the so-called twist in the plot comes with the role Prasanna plays in the lives of Ramesh and Priya. I can't go into the details here either in case I ruin the suspense for you. I honestly didn't care for the film. Like I said earlier, Atharva and Samantha are lovely and very talented, but the script is quite amateur. Director Badri Prasad tries to portray the divisions between the upper middle class and the slum dwellers, but it's all very stereotypical with no nuances whatsoever. Now, the actor who plays Atharva's mother doesn't talk, she only shrieks, unbearable. And Karuna's, who's supposed to bring comic relief, only brings you relief when he stops his crude and vulgar humor revolving around his underwear and condoms and such. It's really disgusting, I tell you. And it happens right in the beginning of the film and really puts you in a foul mood right away. I don't think we have that clip, thank heavens for that, so we won't subject you to that torture. Prasanna does a fairly decent job, but nothing to crow about really. Music by Yuvan Shankar Raja is peppy and relieves the tedium a bit, and the young uns are all very good dancers, so that's a bit of a relief. I'm very excited because I came up with a very clever pun. In a nutshell, the film is a very banal katadi. With that, I rest my case with 1 star for the film. Coming up from our great director series, Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train, only on Pothys the Big Pick. Welcome back to Pothys the Big Pick. Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train is an adaptation of a Patricia Highsmith novel. It has plenty of Hitchcockian moments and keeps you engaged sufficiently with its clever plot and its stunning visual treatment. But somehow, it doesn't quite satisfy you fully like Birds, Vertigo or Psycho do, for example. Apparently, Hitchcock himself was very dissatisfied with the film and told the great French filmmaker Francois Truffaut that he blamed his 2 lead male actors for the poor result. You know, I really don't know about that because I thought Farley Granger and Robert Walker suited their characters really well. I felt that the screenplay was not taut enough and that weakened the film. But you know, it's always interesting to watch Hitchcock's films. You come away never entirely disappointed, dissatisfied maybe, but not disappointed. Professional tennis player Guy Haynes, played by Farley Granger, is drawn into conversation by a stranger on the train in which both are travelling. Disconcertingly, the stranger, Bruno Anthony, played brilliantly by Robert Walker, knows a lot about him. And then Bruno, with his mad eyes and psychotic air, makes a totally bizarre and macabre suggestion that he will murder Guy's cheating wife and in turn, Guy murder Bruno's hated father. Guy, of course, doesn't take Bruno all that seriously, though he has an uncomfortable feeling about it all. But after they part ways and before he has time to think about this strange encounter deeply, Bruno goes and accomplishes what he suggested that he would, that is, murder Guy's wife. And then, of course, demands his pound of flesh in return from a totally shocked Guy. In the meanwhile, the cops get on Guy's trail thinking that he has murdered his wife, and the poor chap is also stalked by Bruno. This fact is noticed by Guy's beautiful girlfriend Anne Morton, the daughter of a senator, so Guy finally ends up confiding in her. She, being a woman, sensibly advises him to tell the cops, but Guy thinks that will make matters worse. And so the plot is spun. Pretty spellbinding from start to finish. Strangers on a Train thereafter leads you to a pretty freaky stunt towards the end where the case gets solved. I said earlier, right, that Hitchcock was disappointed with his actors. I wonder why, because Walker is perfectly cast for the part of Bruno, playing odd, dysfunctional, creepy and oily in turns. Marion Lawn, who plays his mum, is equally creepy, and the scene that's really disturbing is the one where she's giving him a manicure. Ugh, that scene really creeps and grosses you out. Granger seems well cast too. Weak and wimpy, he sees Anne Morton as his passport to a better life, and Ruth Roman shines as her. Did you know that it was Hitchcock's own daughter Patricia who plays Anne's outspoken younger sister and bears an uncanny resemblance to Guy's murdered wife? In fact, the women clearly outdo the men in this film. Yeah, that's true. The visual treatment is top class. There are some excellent shots such as these. Brilliant, eh? Now, another bit of trivia. Strangers on a Train marks the first film where Hitchcock and cinematographer Robert Burks collaborated. Burks thereafter went on to film most of Hitchcock's films from the 1950s. Well, I said some weeks ago that I don't think I dare rate the classics, so all I'll say is do include this film in your collection. Last week's winner of a DVD of 2001 A Space Odyssey is Mr. Raj Tilak Balasubramaniam. Hope you enjoy the film, sir. Thank you very much for your email and your feedback on The Big Pick. Well, this week's question is, name another film starring Ruth Roman. Let me repeat that. Name another film starring Ruth Roman. The first one to write in with the correct answer to feedback at ndtv-hindu.com gets a DVD of Strangers on a Train. So hurry. I should be going now. I'll see you next week. Take care and bye for now.